After more than a month of wait, I finally saw Glass in theaters, and I gotta say, it was a whole lot better than Split. Without question, I don't care what any of you guys say, this film is by far better than Split. Hey guys, Logan here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys another 2019 movie review. This time I'm going to be reviewing the latest M. Night Shyamalan film, Glass, which is the sequel to Unbreakable and Split. This one, once again, is directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan, and this film stars Bruce Willis as David Dunn, Samuel L. Jackson as Elijah Price, and James McAvoy as Kevin Wendell Crumb. From Split, in a series of escalating encounters, David Dunn uses his supernatural abilities to track Kevin Wendell Crumb, a disturbed man who has 24 personalities. Meanwhile, the shadowy presence of Elijah Price emerges as an orchestrator who holds the secrets critical to both men. Unlike a lot of people around the world, mostly in America, were really excited to see this film based off of how much they loved Split and how they thought it was a great movie. I'm not one of them. I really did not like Split at all. It was a very bland, uninteresting, and it just didn't work for me. It didn't really move me the way that it turned out to be, and at least the final product did. I just was not impressed with Split, and you can watch my review for it and see how unimpressed I was with Split, unlike most people were. So I came into this film with very low expectations, unlike most people were, who were really excited to see Glass. They were really excited to see Glass because of how much they love Split, as well as Unbreakable. I do love Unbreakable, by the way, but after walking out of the theater to see this film, Glass, I really gotta say, and you already saw it in the opening of this video, of this movie review, I actually like Glass. I like it a hell of a lot better than Split. I can tell you that much, and I already just said that at the opening. I really enjoyed this film a lot more than I did Split. Because, I mean, it's not just because it solved a lot of the problems that I had with Split, but also because, you know, it has brought back some of the things that I loved about Unbreakable, the 2000 M. Night Shyamalan film. So let's get this out of the way. James McAvoy pulled off a great performance once again. I really thought he was the best part in Split, and it's really easy to say the same for him being the best part in this film. He really shined in both great performances in both of those films. Samuel L. Jackson as Elijah Price, man, he was absolutely terrific. I really love his character in this film, even though he doesn't have much of a presence in this film, particularly within the first hour, and also he didn't have as much dialogue within the first half, if not had any dialogue at all. But even with that, I still thought the way that he's reintroduced in this film, 19 years after coming off of Unbreakable, it was very great. I love the introduction that we see Elijah Price in this film. Bruce Willis, I thought, made a really good performance in this film. Although, I will say that his character, David Dunn, I feel like was underdeveloped. I feel like he was not utilized enough like he was in Unbreakable, to where I actually really love David Dunn and really like him and cared for him, because he went through some hard times. Not just, you know, the tragic train accident that happened 19 years ago. It felt like he was shoved to the sideline and not giving much of an arc, if not had zero arc to his character whatsoever. So I feel like he was underutilized and not used very much, or not been developed very much. So that's one of my issues with the film, one of my major ones. I love the feel that this film gave me. It's so much like the feel that I got from Unbreakable. The way that someone feels, much more than just their ordinary self. That they feel like they're much more and much more better than they seem to be. Being very extraordinary, like they're feeling like they're superhuman, like they're not just human. Just the overall feel that I got from this film, very much like the feel of Unbreakable, is something that I also really, really liked. Just the whole superhero aspect, even though this film, on paper, it sounds like a superhero movie. And there are some superhero references that were from Unbreakable. And I like that. It was done very well. And I do like the story in this film. I like the story of Kevin Wendell Crumb, David Dunn, and Elijah Price being put in a psychiatric place, where I can't exactly remember. It's kind of like a prison, but for mentally insane criminals or stuff like that. I really like the story that this film has. It's a very interesting story. And I think that's about all the issues or positives that I have for Glass. Maybe there's more, but that's just where I'm going to leave off. Now let's get to the negatives. I already mentioned how I didn't like the way that David Dunn was shoved to the side and what felt so underutilized and felt so underdeveloped, like not having much arc to it. I already mentioned that issue. There are more than just that I have a problem with. And it's the lack or the inconsistent focus that this film has on the character of Mr. Glass. This film the main story, the main focus rather, that this film had was put on much more than Mr. Glass. The main focus that this film has didn't just focus on Mr. Glass, it focused on David Dunn, even though David Dunn was one of the main characters in Unbreakable. And it also focused on Kevin Wendell Crumb / The Beast from Split. It kind of felt similar to American Assassin. Remember in that film where it just felt like three different movies meshed into one? You got the first act being like a revenge story. You got the second act being, Dylan O'Brien being recruited by Michael Keaton and his gang. And the third act being saving the world from terrorism and all that other stuff. American Assassin, even though I didn't find it to be a bad film, I still feel like it felt like three movies meshed into one. That's basically what I thought about American Assassin when I saw it. And this film felt similar to American Assassin in the sense that the first act focused on David Dunn. The second act focused on Kevin Wendell Crumb and the other personalities he has. And the third act focused more on Glass. And I feel like the lack of focus was one of the major issues that I have with Glass. It didn't really have a consistent focus on what the title of this film is about and what it could have been about and what should have been about, Mr. Glass. And there are also character decisions that were made, particularly in the second half of the film, that really made me raise my eyebrow. There were certain character decisions being made in this film where I was like, okay, was that really need to be made? Is that a decision that needs to be made? Because I don't think it should be. I don't think it really needs to happen. Or that particular character didn't need to do that. Just certain character choices in the second half that I feel like were unnecessary and don't really feel earned or didn't feel warranted. and didn't have certain character decisions. I feel like felt strange and were unnecessary. One last issue before I finish this review. The Beast in this film, I feel like wasn't beasty enough like he was in Split. In the movie Split, the Beast was like so menacing and so terrifying. I mean, it was so terrifying enough to where I was like, oh my god, that is the true definition of a beast, even in a human form. I mean, that is absolutely insanity. Insane, rather. But here in this film, he seemed to be more human. The Beast seems to be less beasty in this film than he was in Split. And I thought that was really odd. Like, it really threw me off every time he becomes the Beast, because the Beast here in this film wasn't as quote-unquote beasty as he was in Split. So that really made me, like, go, what? Well, like, that doesn't seem right to me. And one last thing. A lot of people really didn't like the first twist. I won't be getting into spoilers, even though this is already more than a month. So I guess you are allowed to spoil it. But I'm still not going to spoil it for those of you that still haven't seen Glass. A lot of people didn't like the first twist. I actually liked the first twist. I thought it was a very good twist. I didn't really think that it would turn out the way that it turned out to be. I didn't think it would turn out to be like that. The first twist and all. The way that it was shown and how it paid off, I didn't really see that coming. Just what the plot twist was about. I did enjoy Glass. It's a good film. I like it. I recommend that you check it out. It's definitely better than Split. I will say that very much. I don't care what any of you guys say. It's definitely better than Split. Not as good as Unbreakable, but better than Split. I'm going to give Glass a gold medal of honor. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie, and that is only because I had kept my expectations for this film extremely low, like probably as low as my feet and where they're standing right now on the ground. And that's unlike most people who had high expectations for this film, but most of them were pretty disappointed with it. And I can kind of understand that, but for me, I find it to be pleasantly surprising, and I did like it. Like much more than I thought I would. Anyway, guys, that is my review for Glass, directed and written by M. Night Shyamalan. I have a lot more 2019 movie reviews coming to you very shortly, so stay tuned for that, as well as my update video that will be up in the weekend. Not sure which, either Saturday or Sunday, I don't know, but it will be up, so stay tuned. If you guys enjoyed my review, please click the like button, and if you have already saw this movie, comment below and let me know what you think of it. If you enjoyed what you've seen here and you want to see future videos from me, please press up there to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great week, Battle Squad, and as always, fight the good fight.